Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing one of the most aesthetically and technically accomplished chronographs you will encounter at any price in Swiss luxury horology. It's the Breguet Type XXII Flyback reference 3880. It's the sports watch implementation of the technology that won the GPHG Aiguille d'Or in 2014 aboard Breguet's Classique Chronometrie 7727 dress watch. What that means? Well, that means 20 beats per second and an oscillation rate of 72,000 vibrations per hour. How does it happen? High technology. You can see and you can purchase this watch on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing of this and other Breguet timepieces in our inventory, with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Breguet Type XXII. Now, this watch is many things. It continues the tradition of the Type 20 dating back to 1954, the original military contract chronograph. It continues the modern Breguet tradition of implementing high technology and new materials, specifically silicon in the hairspring and the unlubricated high rate escapement. And finally, it implements a number of functional capabilities that make it a more capable everyday companion. In terms of dimensions, it's 44 millimeters, so it's one of the larger members of the Breguet Pilot's Watch family. 44 across the round of the case. That doesn't include the crown or the chronograph pushers. In terms of thickness, it's 18 millimeters thick, although you will see there is a nice conical slope to the bezel and a generous domed profile to the sapphire. It will slip underneath a sweater, underneath a blazer or sport jacket cuff, but it's not going to be able to hold its own against a really tight sleeve. For that, there's the 7727. For all other times when you want to have fun, there's this Type 22. Now, from lug to lug, it's big, but not the monster it could have been. 53.7 millimeters, I will say, you can look at it on my wrist. The shape of the lugs makes this one wearable on a smaller wrist. I would say down to 15 centimeters in circumference. This one's going to drape itself around your wrist rather than flare out and fight you, like, for instance, the form of an IWC Big Pilot's Watch. This one is shaped with a view towards smaller wrists wearing it with both security and a good appearance of proportion. Now, you'll note I liked this one so much that I even sized the strap so I didn't have to hold it down to fit, and the strap is very substantial. Here's the profile of those lugs. You can see why they nicely wrap around a small wrist. Intelligent design inside and out. The strap is a monstrous piece. Aviator style calfskin with conforming end pieces to create a very integrated aesthetic. Fortunately, this one pulls straight down. It doesn't flare out and magnify the size of the case. It wears true to size across the wrist. You'll also note that there is a robust bolstering down the center to give it body and volume, as well as a contrasting stitch, but not a traditional contrasting stitch. It emulates the staggered red and white calibrations of the minute track of this watch. Now, if you look very closely, you can see that there are more calibrations between each second, as well as 30-second calibrations in alternating red and white to make it easier to read the incredibly small increments that this timepiece is capable of measuring. Design continued within and without, matched by a very substantial folding clasp, all of high polished steel, giving you that security when donning or removing at bedside. Very supple. They use an exceptionally soft grade of leather that is becoming of a Breguet timepiece. Now, you'll note, though the watch does have an aviator's sensibility about it, nevertheless it is 100 meters water resistant, and it features a unidirectional dive style bezel. So in a pinch, this one could meet the ISO definition of a dive watch. More versatile than just an aviator's timepiece, it's also more versatile than a conventional chronograph, as it packs flyback capability, reset and restart on a moment's notice, no need to cycle the chronograph conventionally. Now, you'll also note there's a lot going on the dial. A classic sporting tritone, dominant black with elements of white calibrations and shocks of red. This one features a little bit more color than you'd conventionally see on an aviator's timepiece, but I like that. It gives it character. There's a large sloped rayhaut with broad swaths of luminescent material running down to the base of the dial, and then all of the sub-registers are countersunk with a polished chapter ring about the hour register at 6 o'clock. You'll also note there is a small date anchoring the dial at 6 o'clock. Now, the way you adjust the date is via a travel time complication. You can adjust forward or backwards, driving the date in either direction as you hopefully fly across the international date line. And you'll also note that the watch features hacking seconds, so when you pull the crown you do stop the balance, high rate and all for precise synchronization against a known accurate reference time. Also note the convenience of having both radial seconds and radial minutes. So this is an easy watch to read at a glance. I tend to find that I rarely time any interval of over an hour using a chronograph, and therefore the most readily accessible information, seconds and minutes, also correspond to the most useful information that you will read from a chronograph. Now, the watch features the handsome Breguet style of the modern era with the coined case flanks, all of high polish. The watch wears its high polished metal well. It doesn't seem ostentatious, it doesn't seem overwrought. All of this seems equal to the occasion of the name and the innovation within is substantial. High frequency, 10 Hz, 20 beats per second, free sprung escapement, silicone hairspring, silicone pallet, silicone escape wheel, operating completely unlubricated. It's also completely amagnetic for better resistance in a modern office and home environment. Now, you'll also know that because of the exceptional high rate, the watch has a very distinctive heartbeat. When held against the ear, frankly, it sounds like nothing else except its 7727 stablemate. Now, it features a 40-hour power reserve, which has to be considered extraordinary given the sheer speed of that escapement. I'll also say that it has an immense amount of refinement. In the hand, it feels like a quality piece. The function of the chronograph is crisp and responsive. There are no compromises engineered into this watch, and for that reason, it strikes me as one of the most interesting timepieces you can purchase at any price. This is the kind of technology that would make Richard Mille jealous, and you can have it for a fraction of the price in a timepiece that need make no excuses. Hails from a glorious house with a wonderful name and the full material science might of the Swatch Group behind it. See it and own it on our website.